Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a seriously powerful tool for Python developers, the Pyramid Framework. Look, if you think about building a web application kind of like constructing a building, you obviously need a blueprint. But what if your blueprint could act as a highly adaptable foundation, one that perfectly supports a tiny single-story storefront just as effortlessly as a massive high-traffic skyscraper? Well, that's exactly the architectural journey we're going to explore today as we look at how Pyramid actually operates. So here's a question literally every developer faces at some point. Why choose a web framework that forces you into a rigid, one-size-fits-all paradigm? You know the ones I mean. So many traditional frameworks hand you this massive toolbox, but then they demand that you build things exactly their way. And let's be honest, that can be incredibly frustrating when your project has unique requirements. So let's look at Pyramid as the adaptable alternative, a framework that's gained some serious attention for its flexibility, its scalability, and its deep customization capabilities. Okay, so here's our architectural roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The minimalist core, 2. Scaling small to large, 3. Customizing your stack, 4. Locking it down, and finally, 5. The Pyramid community. Let's get started.
Starting with Section 1, the minimalist core.
Every great structure needs a solid, uncluttered foundation, right? For Pyramid, that starts with a totally counterintuitive design philosophy, which is to do as little as possible. I love that. It deliberately avoids making overarching decisions for you. Instead, it just provides the essential, high-quality tools you need to build, completely without the bloat.
And because of this minimalism, you can tailor your project exactly to your specific requirements. Literally, from the very first brick you lay. You completely escape that one-size-fits-all trap. You don't have to spend your entire first week of development just ripping out default features you don't even need. Instead, you get a totally clean slate that actually respects your architectural decisions right from day one.
Moving on to Section 2, Scaling Small to Large. So how does the framing hold up when the traffic really starts pouring in? Well, Step 1, you can start incredibly small with a minimal single-file application. Then, Step 2, as you grow, you expand seamlessly by adding components thanks to Pyramid's modular architecture. And finally, Step 3, you optimize routing to handle those heavy loads. And the absolute best part? You do all of this without those massive, painful code rewrites that so often plague other frameworks as they try to scale up.
Now, a huge part of that scaling efficiency comes down to URL dispatch. Think of this like the high-speed elevator system in our skyscraper analogy. It's a routing system that maps URL patterns directly to views, giving you precise, granular control over how requests are processed. And when you combine it with other features like traversal, this super efficient request handling ensures your app manages high volumes of traffic without losing a single drop of performance.
Next up, Section 3, Customizing your stack. Okay, so the building is up, and now it's time for the interior design phase, integrating your preferred tools. Pyramid totally adapts to your specific coding style by supporting multiple configuration paradigms. You might go with imperative configuration for a direct code-based setup if you're the type who likes wiring things up explicitly. Or you might lean towards declarative configuration if you prefer a more descriptive approach. This flexibility essentially lets you dictate the logic that best suits your specific project.
And crucially, you are never locked in. You want the huge popularity and versatility of Ginger 2? You got it. Prefer the blazing fast native support of Chameleon? It's right there. Or maybe the high-performance Pythonic nature of Mako is more your style. The framework gives you the absolute freedom to leverage the exact strengths of different templates, depending entirely on what your project demands.
Furthermore, Pyramid is built entirely on extensible components. What this modular approach means is that you can snap in custom functionalities, things like your own data models or specialized third-party libraries, without ever having to hack or alter the core framework itself. You just have total freedom to build the exact features you need.
Which brings us to Section 4, locking it down. Look, a beautiful building isn't worth much if the doors don't lock, right? Security is absolutely paramount here. Pyramid gives you robust, built-in protection against common vulnerabilities right out of the box. We're talking standard authentication and authorization systems. But at the same time, it balances that built-in protection with flexible control, allowing you to heavily customize those policies to fit your highly specific needs.
And it actually achieves this through access control lists, or ACLs. These allow developers to define incredibly detailed, fine-grained access measures. So this basically guarantees that protecting your users' data isn't just left to some generic security blanket, but is instead a highly adaptable system
tailored perfectly to your unique app.
Finally, Section 5, the Pyramid Community.
Every great building exists within a neighborhood, and this developer ecosystem is absolutely thriving. Pyramid is backed by a highly active community that's constantly driving continuous improvement. Whether you need a wealth of forums for troubleshooting, step-by-step tutorials, or incredibly comprehensive official documentation, you've got deep support guiding you from basic installation all the way up to advanced topics.
So, to bring it all together, what we've really explored today is a powerful framework that fundamentally adapts to future growth. From its minimalist foundation and efficient request processing to its customizable configurations and rock-solid security, Pyramid genuinely empowers you to build robust apps that scale beautifully over time.
Which leaves us with just one final thought. Now that you know there's a framework out there that absolutely refuses to box you in, a framework that truly scales with your vision, from a tiny single-file app all the way to a massive enterprise system, what will you build next? Grab that documentation, start experimenting, and let your architecture scale as big as your ideas. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy coding!